Picture a playground in Osaka on an ordinary afternoon. A child trips on the path and falls. The mother sees it. She doesn't run over, doesn't gasp, doesn't rush in with words of comfort. She simply waits and watches, her face calm and curious, almost as though she's genuinely interested in what her child will do next. The child looks up at her, reads her face, and instead of crying, gets up, brushes off their knee, and keeps going. That mother didn't teach her child anything in that moment. She transmitted something. Because in Japan, raising a calm child doesn't start with the child. It starts with a single word, one concept that works not through instruction, but through the space between two nervous systems. This isn't about Japanese culture. It's about biology. And biology doesn't have a nationality. And here's what nobody talks about. Anxiety doesn't transfer through bad parenting. It transfers through biology, through the air between you. Amae. Japan found a way to interrupt this transmission centuries before neuroscience had a name for it. Today, you'll learn what it is. And at the end, one thing that makes all three practices fail without it. Here's what's happening inside your child right now. Their brain has a threat detection system. It's more sensitive than yours, because evolutionarily, a child who couldn't read the emotional state of their caregiver didn't survive. So your child's nervous system is doing something extraordinary. It's constantly scanning you. It's scanning your cortisol, not your words. A 2017 study at the University of Washington found that a child's cortisol levels begin to mirror their caregivers within 4 minutes of proximity, before a single word is spoken. When a parent walks into a room carrying unresolved tension, heart rate slightly elevated, breath a little short, shoulders not quite dropped, the child's body registers this before anything is said. The amygdala fires, cortisol rises, and the nervous system shifts into low-level alert. You haven't done anything wrong. You've simply been human in front of them. But here's the problem. In modern life, that low-level alert never fully clears. It layers day after day until anxiety stops feeling like a response and starts feeling like a personality. Japanese researchers studying child development found something consistent in families where children showed the lowest anxiety markers. What set these families apart wasn't discipline, praise, or the right words. It was the quality of the parent's own nervous system. Japan had a word for it, and it's not what you think. While Western psychology spent decades trying to fix anxiety after it appeared, Japanese culture built a system that prevents it from taking root at all. Amae, the safety of being fully accepted. There is no accurate translation for this word in English. The closest attempt is presuming on another's benevolence, but that sounds like manipulation. It isn't. Amae is the feeling a child has when they know, in their body, not just their mind, that they will be accepted exactly as they are. Not only when they behave well or when they're calm, but always. In Japanese culture, the early years of childhood are built around this state. Close physical contact, co-sleeping, a mother who doesn't rush to make the child independent because she understands that deep dependence in the beginning is what makes genuine independence possible later. In Japan, there is no word for terrible twos. The phase simply doesn't have a name, because in most families, it barely exists. Western parenting often mistakes Amae for spoiling. It isn't. Spoiling comes from inconsistency, a child given everything materially but uncertain emotionally. Amae is the opposite. Emotional certainty so complete that the child's nervous system stops spending its energy on threat detection. It can finally rest. When a child lives in Amae, they don't need to cling. They don't need to test. They don't need to be anxious about whether love is still there. It simply is. And from that foundation, everything else becomes possible. You can see the difference clearly. A child without Amae checks the parent's face constantly. After every small decision, every new experience, every moment of uncertainty. A child inside Amae simply goes. They still look back, but not to ask permission, to share. When a child shows anxiety, most parents respond in one of three ways. The first is explaining. You sit down, you talk it through, you find the rational reason the fear isn't real. You've probably done it at 9 p.m., sitting on the edge of their bed, calmly explaining why the dark isn't dangerous, and watched it not work. Because the nervous system doesn't process threat through language. You can explain away a fear, and the body still holds it. The second is reassuring. You're safe. I'm here. Nothing bad will happen. The words are true, but a child whose nervous system is already activated can't receive them. The signal is already running. Words arrive after it. The third is correcting the environment. You've probably spent hours researching the right school, the right neighborhood, the right routine, optimizing everything around them. No scary movies, softer transitions, more warning before change. This reduces triggers, but it doesn't build tolerance. A child who is protected from discomfort doesn't learn that discomfort is survivable. In all three approaches, one thing is missing. Not better technique, not more patience. The parent's own nervous system genuinely at rest. Because the most powerful signal a child's brain receives isn't what you say, it's the state you're in when you say it. And here's the thing. One of the three practices below takes under 5 minutes, and it doesn't involve your child at all. Amae in practice. Presence without agenda. Most parents are physically present with their children, but mentally elsewhere, running through tomorrow's tasks, reviewing today's mistakes, half watching the screen while their child plays nearby. The child's nervous system reads this as partial absence. And partial absence, the parent is here but not really here, is more unsettling than simple absence. Amae is created not by time, but by quality of presence. 5 minutes of full, uninterrupted attention, phone face down, no agenda, no correcting, no teaching, does more for a child's baseline anxiety than an hour of distracted togetherness. One practice. Once a day, sit at the child's level and follow what they're doing without directing it. Don't ask questions or narrate what's happening. Just be there, fully, for 5 minutes. Let them lead, and let it be purposeless. That purposelessness is exactly the point. Start today. 5 minutes. Phone face down. No agenda. Just follow. Mimamoru. Watching over without intervening. Mimamoru is the Japanese practice of protective observation. The parent is present, close enough to help if truly needed, but far enough to allow the child to meet difficulty on their own terms. The rule is simple. Physical safety, you step in immediately. Emotional discomfort, you wait. In Japanese kindergartens, teachers observe far more than they intervene. When a child struggles to open a jar, the teacher watches. When two children disagree, the teacher watches. Not because they don't care, because they understand that the moment of struggle is the moment the nervous system learns, I can handle this. Each small success in the presence of a calm adult rewires the child's threat response. The message isn't, the world is safe. It's, you are capable of navigating a world that isn't always safe. That is a far more durable form of security. One practice. When your child faces something hard, a social difficulty, a frustrating task, a small failure, pause before you step in. Count to 10. Watch their face. Often, they find a way through. And when they do, they look for you, not for rescue,
but to share what they just discovered about themselves. Start today. Next time they struggle, count to 10 before you move. But here's what most parents never consider. The third practice doesn't require you to change anything about how you parent. It only requires you to do the same thing in the same order every day. Kata, ritual as a nervous system anchor. Kata means form or pattern. In Japanese martial arts, it describes a sequence of movements practiced until they become automatic. In daily life, it describes something quieter, the small, repeated rituals that give the day its shape. A child's nervous system is calmed not primarily by novelty or stimulation, but by predictability. The same morning sequence, the same phrase at bedtime, the same way a meal begins. Research on childhood anxiety consistently finds that routine, more than reward, more than explanation, is one of the most reliable regulators of a child's baseline cortisol. Not because the ritual is magical, because repetition tells the brain, you know what comes next. There is no threat here. In many Japanese families, the morning begins with the same phrase, spoken by the parent, repeated by the child. It isn't a prayer or a lesson, just a sound the nervous system has learned to recognize as the day is beginning and it's safe. One practice. Choose one daily transition, waking up, leaving for school, going to sleep, and build a small kata around it. 3 to 4 steps, always in the same order, always the same. Within 2 weeks, watch what happens to the child's body at that moment. The anticipation itself becomes calming. Start today. Pick one transition. Same 3 steps. Every day this week.
3 practices: presence, observation, and ritual. And each of them works. But here is what the research mentions almost in passing, and it changes everything. Studies on co-regulation show that how anxious a child is depends most of all on how calm the parent is. A parent who practices Mimamoru while internally anxious about whether they're doing it right transmits the anxiety, not the technique. A parent who creates kata while secretly exhausted and resentful, the child feels the resentment, not the ritual. Amae cannot be performed. It can only be transmitted from a nervous system that has genuinely found some rest. This is what Japanese parenting philosophy understood first. You cannot give a child what you don't have inside yourself. The practices in this video aren't primarily for your child. They're for you. Amae. Remember that mother on the playground in Osaka? She wasn't following a technique. She wasn't managing her child. She was simply present, regulated, safe. That's Amae, not a technique, but a state. The Japanese understood something that takes most parents years to arrive at. A calm child is not raised through correct methods. A calm child grows in the presence of a calm parent. And a calm parent is not one who has eliminated stress. It's one who has learned, slowly, imperfectly, to carry it without transmitting it. Start with 5 minutes today. Not with your child, with yourself. Put the phone down. Sit with whatever is there. Don't fix it. Just let your nervous system remember what rest feels like. And then, go be with your child. From that place. If Japanese philosophy resonates with you, subscribe. A lot more is coming. And write in the comments what topic or problem you'd like me to cover next.